One, I think everybody should try to be an entrepreneur. I think to discount it without trying is like saying you hate sushi and pizza is your favorite food. Like, how do you know what your favorite food is? You've only tried like 8 foods. Go try some other things. You might learn something. So I think everybody should try to have a podcast. You try to have a YouTube channel. Just see if it works. See how you like it. Traditional education is a great platform to get you traditional jobs. Good luck being a doctor if you haven't gone to medical school. Same thing for lawyer or an accountant and like professions. You need to have the education. If you know absolutely that you want to be an entrepreneur, you will get very little value from formal university education. Spending 4 years will likely be a big waste of opportunity costs plus student loans. If you're not sure though, you're somewhere in the middle, it's a great backup plan. I'm 39 now. When I was looking at it 20 years ago of being in university, for me, it was a backup plan. I had my business. I met the 2 entrepreneurs in university. I stayed in, I didn't drop out. I didn't know if it was going to work out or not. And so this became my backup plan. And I think get into a traditional corporate environment, they still heavily favor the education, even though it's starting to slip and drop. So it depends on what your ambitions are. If you know for 100% sure you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not going to be very valuable.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Awesome Wholesaler Experience podcast, where we look into the many facets of the job, the career, and the lifestyle of investment and insurance product wholesaling. I'm your host, the creator of the Awesome Wholesaler Experience, and yours truly, Awesome Mike. Hey, everyone. Today on the show, we have a very special guest. Let me introduce you to him, Mr. Evan Carmichael. Now, Evan believes in entrepreneurs. At age 19, he built and then sold a biotech software company. At age 22, he was a venture capitalist, raising $500,000 to $15 million. He now runs a YouTube channel for entrepreneurs with just over 2 million subscribers. And he has actually posted a total of 6,700 and some change videos on YouTube. Pretty amazing stat. He has written several books and now speaks globally. He says that he wants to solve the world's biggest problem, and that is untapped potential. By the way, he's also set 2 world records. He uses a trampoline and a stand-up desk. He owns Canada's largest salsa dance studio, and he always carries around and has in front of him a giant Doritos bag all day long, just to remind him that he is stronger than the Doritos. He calls Toronto his home. He's a proud husband, father, TSM fan, and Teemo main, whatever that might mean. I think it's a video gamer thing, but anyone, ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming to the show, Mr. Evan Carmichael. Welcome to the show, Evan. How are you, sir?
I am awesome. Awesome, Mike. Thank you for having me, man.
You know, that never gets old, by the way, the awesome thing. And, you know, I did that because Magic Mike was already taken. So
Okay.
want to be memorable and that kind of stuff. But I actually have a system, a sales structure, a training system that uses the word awesome as an acronym. So there's some purpose behind the punchline, if you would. But speaking of punchlines, you know, I've been watching a little bit, and I'm even looking at it now. That sweatshirt looks like it's fitting you a little bit differently. 100 push-ups a day will do that to somebody. Cold showers, that'll do. What's going on, dude? You're in training for something?
I'm getting back into it, to be honest. I mean, I broke my neck in March. I broke my neck in 2 spots and compressed my spine, had a concussion, a whole bunch of stuff. So my physical regimen went to 0 and now is slowly kind of getting back in. So I'm still doing physio on my neck. Didn't need spinal surgery, so that's awesome. Another awesome.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, so slowly getting back into it. I can start to do more reps. So it feels good. Feels good.
Yeah, quick, speedy recovery. You're a young man, so hopefully that'll work out. And in Canada, are you able to use stem cells and all that? Are you doing all that crazy stuff?
I've looked into it. I haven't done it. I'm sure we can, or you can probably get faster service going south of the border to the US of A. But I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fun fact, you're talking Magic Mike. I just learned today that Michael Jordan, he's noticed the M in your hand. So if you look at your hand and hold it like this, there's an M.
Yeah, that's right. That's for Mike.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be like Mike.
It's right. If there was a J over here, would be kind of scary, wouldn't it? Hey, you know, I really, I've been following you for a while, and congratulations on your platform thus far. You know, in your bio, I read off that you have over 2 million YouTube subscribers, which is no small feat. So congratulations on that, and cheers to your continued success. But I wanted to ask you, you really planted your flag in the sand by saying that you wanted to solve the world's biggest problem. And that is, of course, untapped potential. Did lightning hit you with that, or how did you come up with that one, Evan?
It's an evolution. I think it came out of probably one of the interviews that I did. I get moments of genius, but then, oh, I got to write that one down. That was really good. That's a good soundbite. Uh, yeah, I think that the people might say cancer or poverty or whatever else you think is a big problem, and I agree they are. I just think the person who solves cancer should have already solved it. The problem is she's working as an account manager at a company she hates instead of actually chasing down a thing that she could be great at. Most people, I think everybody, speaking of MJ, like I think everybody has Michael Jordan level talent at something. People watching, listening, you are the greatest in the world at something, but most people aren't doing it because it's probably not what you grew up with. It's probably not what your parents wanted you to do. And so, especially now, the opportunities to go off and find the thing you want and have success with it is off the charts. And so that's a big problem I'm trying to solve.
You referenced kind of like the traditional upbringing, and I know that I'm going to assume that you were pretty educated yourself because of your biotech background and your venture capital background. Usually, it requires a little bit of education there. But then I looked at the dates. I'm like 19 years old, 22 years old. What is your posture today on the value of post high school formal education
I
versus
think,
entrepreneurship?
yeah, I think everybody should try to be an entrepreneur. I think to discount it without trying is like saying, sushi, you hate sushi and pizza's your favorite food. Like, how do you know what your favorite food is? You've only tried like 8 foods. Go try some other things. You might learn something, right? So I think everybody should try to have a podcast, should try to have a YouTube channel. Just see if it works. See how you like it. Um, School, traditional education is a great platform to get you traditional jobs. So good luck being a doctor if you haven't gone to medical school, right? Like it's not going to happen. Same thing for lawyer or an accountant and like the professions. You need to have the education. If you know absolutely that you want to be an entrepreneur, you will get very little value from a formal university education. Spending 4 years will likely be a big waste of opportunity costs plus student loans. Um, if you're not sure though, and you're somewhere in the middle, it's a great backup plan. Even so, I'm 39 now. When I was looking at it 20 years ago of being in university, for me, it was a backup plan. I had my business. I met the two entrepreneurs in university. I stayed in. I didn't drop out. I didn't know if it was going to work out or not, and so this became my backup plan. And I think get into a traditional corporate environment, they still heavily favor the education, even though it's starting to slip and drop. So it depends on what your ambitions are. If you know for 100% sure you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not going to be very valuable for you.
Yeah, and I don't know what your opinion is on it. I'd love to hear it, but I value, or I think of it as the longer that you're in corporate America, the longer you're in this, traditional mold, the harder it is to break out. I even struggle with myself. A lot of times I'm finding that I'm over evaluating things because I have this, pedigree, and I'm supposed to be an analytic, and I'm supposed to, make sure that you're covering all your bases. And a lot of times, do you find that prevents entrepreneurs from taking that leap that they need to be successful in the first place?
Yeah, I think training yourself to go from idea to action is really important. The most successful people, they get an idea and then they find a way to just immediately get started on it. Somebody listening and watching, they think, I want to start a podcast. Great. Take out your phone and record your first podcast today. And it's going to suck. Awesome. Expect to suck in the beginning. Your first thing should always suck. Like, why do you think you're going to be great the first time you try anything? You're going to suck. That's the best. That's part of the process. Uh, so yes, I think people have built-in inertia, and the longer that they take between jumps makes them more fearful of doing the jump. The secret is to always be jumping.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of your channels, you have so much content online. And if anyone that's listening, and if you even know what YouTube is, you have to search up Evan's channel. He has just a plethora of information that's out there. So I've done a little digging and watched most of them. Like I said, there's only 6,137 according to my last count. But my favorite one is this espresso time. And that's kind of your
Okay.
mashup between entrepreneur and espresso, right? Every morning. We know
Yeah.
you're getting that new food every Saturday. We know that, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
espresso's every morning, right? And can you tell us a story about how it started? I happen to remember that exact moment, but I'll let you tell your story.
Of how I came with the name or how I just started making that video?
Yeah, the one with Kanye is a little bit of an inspiration to you,
Oh, Kanye. Okay, so Kanye was my first top 10 series.
right?
And a friend of mine, Mark, who I've known for a lot of years, made a blog post that was somewhat trashing Kanye. And I got upset and I said, you know what? You need to learn from this guy. You can learn from him. And so I made a top 10 rules video as a one-off. I already had my channel for 5 years. And for people who don't know who I am or what my channel's about, the top 10 series has become this iconic piece of what I do, where almost every day there's 5 times a week, there's a new person that we profile showcasing their top 10 rules for success. And so Kanye was the first one, really just to show my friend Mark, hey, you should learn from this guy. He can teach you. And then I was supposed to go back to my regular schedule. It wasn't supposed to be a series. It's just this one-off video about Kanye. And people liked it. And they said, hey, can you do one on whoever, on Oprah? Can you do one on Bill Gates? Can you do one on Steve Jobs? And so I thought, okay, yeah, I could do that. And then that became a once a week series, and then twice a week series, and then 5 times a week series, just from a one-off experiment. But that exact idea to action. It wasn't some big plan. It wasn't some big vision or dream or goal of mine. I was just upset that Mark wrote this article. And so my response was a video, and I'm going to get it done today.
Yeah, I love that. And it was because Kanye jumped the stage when Taylor Swift was getting the award, and everyone was really banging negatively on Kanye. And you, my friend, you kind of are the light of inspiration of positivity. And even your logo there with the paper airplane pointed horizontally, I love that. How did you come up with that as your logo and as kind of like your hand sign to your people in the field?
Yeah. And so quickly, just on the positivity, I want to learn from everybody. Uh, Kanye does a lot of stuff that I may not agree with, and that's okay. But if somebody's had more success than you, there's something you can learn from them. Most people are really boxed in with who they're going to learn from because they disagree with a couple points of view. I love saying, okay, forget about those 3 points of view, but there's 8 things that I can learn from them, and that's all I want to focus on. The airplane logo is is a paper airplane. I picked it one because I see entrepreneurs as we're trying to get somewhere new, we're rising to new heights, we're visionaries, we're flying in the skies. Don't keep us grounded in one spot. But I made it a paper airplane because at the beginning you don't have money, you don't have resources. It's not some jet
Love
that
it.
is worth $1 million or 10 million or $100 million. It's a paper airplane because that's all you got. And if you watch the videos, we make the airplane break the sound barrier. So it sounds like a jet that then breaks the sound barrier, but it's a paper airplane because that's what I see entrepreneurs as doing. So that's the story behind
Dude,
the
that's pretty
logo.
cool. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, pretty deep stuff. I appreciate that. And you've got so much content out there. You've interviewed we're virtually or naturally literally so many great people in our time. I really enjoyed though your top 10 favorites. And we won't go through them all here because we are limited on time. But do you have if you had to just pick one, you had to pick one top 10 favorite, rules for success. And we know who your top 10 are, but who would the first one or the top of the list be off the top of your head there?
I would go with Quincy Jones, who said, not one drop of my self worth depends on your opinion of me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's really good. And I enjoyed that video. And that was taken back, had to be in the 70s, I would say. That video quality looked pretty old. So
Yeah.
are you an older soul kind of a guy, or are you kind of this new generation? I know what your age is, but how would you classify yourself? Are you an old soul, or are you more of a modern, Renaissance man?
Uh, so this was interesting. Somebody asked me how old I was, and my answer was, I'm 39 years old. I think like I'm 93 and I act like I'm 13.
That's good. That's good. I don't actually believe in age. I think that, the world is revolving and we can grow and get older on our own time frame. So I like to kind of have some fun with that age question as well. But I do feel like I am a modern guy, and like yourself, I respect history, I respect the icons in the industry. You have several of them behind you there, and it's interesting. I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with just those? I mean, there's just what is there, 5 or 6 of them that are there. I know your parents are there, and I appreciate the tribute. But then you've got some of the call them the world icons and Jobs and Schultz and then Kanye. How do
Yeah.
you decide on which ones to pick?
So these are all, believe for me, they all tell the story. So Steve Jobs is here as the first one, and it's believing in the mission, right? He wanted to make a dent in the universe. That's what I want to try to do and think big, believe in myself. This guy is AP Giannini. He's the founder of Bank of America, my favorite entrepreneur of all time. He believed in people, entrepreneurs, when nobody else would. He gave Walt Disney the money to start his first feature-length movie when everybody thought he was crazy. He lent money to entrepreneurs based off of a handshake and a look in their eye. If you can imagine going to a bank and asking for a loan based off of a look in your eye. Uh, my parents here, this is me when I'm 8 or 9 years old, and my parents above me, they always told me I was Evan Castrelli Carmichael. I could do anything I believed that I could. Howard Schultz is the founder of there because it was a clip of him on stage at a shareholders meeting where they were one of the first big companies to come out on some bill that supported workers' rights, and one of the shareholders was upset that Starbucks was making political judgments. Not political, I guess more just gauging into public opinion more than just selling coffee. He's like, why don't you just sell coffee? Like, stick to what you're doing. And most CEOs would give a really safe, boring, vanilla answer. And he got up and said, the lens through which we see the world is through diversity and uh, not oppression. And so we're gonna follow this. And if you're not happy with how Starbucks's stock price is performing, feel free to sell your shares and go buy something else.
Boom.
Which you don't really see from a CEO. Like, damn, I like this guy. And so it's basically standing up for your beliefs. It's all belief themed, right? It's standing up for your beliefs in the face of public pressure. And then Kanye, that interview clip that he's on the show for there was talking about how the time is now. So in that clip, he's saying, I don't want to be inside a corporation for the next 30 years. The time is now to believe in yourself and be the greatest you. And so it's all of this is a story of believe, and it ends with Kanye because it's like now. It's not tomorrow. It's not the next week. Not next month. Like not 2020. Right now.
So would you say that it comes down? I mean, I've got you quoted here saying that which is more important, talent or skills, and then I even add in there or beauty, because it seems like the prettier the person or the picture on social, the more likes or views it gets. You and I are clear examples that might not be completely accurate. I've been told I have a face for radio, so there you go. But which one do you think is more important, talent or skills, or is there some eyes and beauty in the eye of the beholder?
Um, with those kinds of questions, I think, well, what can I do with it? Like, so if your dream is to be a model, but you're super ugly, so do you give up on your dream? Do you just not do it? Like, I want to chase it down.
Hmm.
In my view, there's always another way. There's always a different path. There's always, like, you look at, like, was Bob Dylan a great singer?
No,
If you said, well, to be a great singer, you have to have a great voice and you have to, right? But he could write.
he's a writer. Yeah.
He could write, and he made a lot of lives changed because of his music. And if somebody just told him, "Hey, you can't sing. Don't be a singer," and he gave up, that's how I equate it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And you could be a hand model, right? You can model gloves like Joe Pesci says in the Snickers commercial. um, it's very interesting though, because this belief it takes a little bit of I guess fantasy, almost like faith, and to generate that. And where do you get that from? How do you have the courage and the energy to fight off all of the practicality, all of the realism, all of the play it safe, that combats the belief move?
Well, one, it starts with eliminating the things that make you feel like garbage. The people, the resources, whatever you're inputting in that makes you feel bad about yourself, you want to eliminate or reduce exposure to. Like maybe that's your mom who's telling you that you can never do this. So maybe you don't want to cut your mom out of your life, but limit exposure, limit access. Don't talk about certain things because it's going to cause chaos and grief. Um, maybe your friends from high school shouldn't be your friends anymore, right? Like maybe you're just in a friendship out of convenience instead of it actually helps you. So that's the first step: is eliminate the negative things and people that are causing you to doubt yourself and feel like garbage. Two is then you need to inject things that make you feel great every day. So maybe listening to Awesome Mike helps you feel more awesome. If that's the
Indeed.
case, then maybe you should listen to Awesome Mike more often, right? Like feeling awesome is pretty good. He's got a lot of shows you can go back and listen to. I make my channel selfishly for myself because I want to be around Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and I want to be around these people because every day I grow a little bit more belief in myself. I need it, but then I share with people. And thankfully enough people watch it that I can build a business and scale a team and create more content. So step one is eliminate all the negativity. And then step two is you inject more belief and positivity into your life, however that manifests for you. For me, I'm a visual learner. I like seeing stuff. I like seeing Elon Musk say something and it resonates with me. For someone else, maybe it's prayer. For someone else, maybe it's meditation. For someone else, maybe it's hugging your cat. I don't care. Whatever the thing is that makes you feel amazing, bold, powerful, unstoppable, confident, if you do that every day, your life will be dramatically different.
Yeah, love it, love it. Now those are a couple of the 8 areas that you have on your circle of potential. Your circle of potential is a great piece that you've done. It's on your website there. Terrific stuff. Self-awareness, action plan, environment, and accountability. What's important about accountability? Is it just to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, I mean, you're much more likely to let yourself down than other people.
I agree.
So step one is commit to as soon as you get an idea for something, you're going to start a podcast. Great. Book your first guest because you may not show up for yourself, but if you book your first guest for next week, even if it's your best friend, if you book them as a guest, you're going to show up. So as soon as you get an idea, tell somebody else you're going to do it and get them involved. You're much more likely to follow through.
Yeah, I love it. In fact, I can remember clearly my first episode. I almost vomited, and it
Yeah.
was just a friend of mine, so it wasn't anything spectacular. And like you, I've created this show for my own nourishment and the nourishment of those that enjoy it. So we appreciate you having you on. You mentioned your days of the week, and we're coming up on our time here. Very cool, though, how you share that with everyone. But you mentioned you have 24 people on your team now, and you
Mhm.
mentor them each week. How do you do that?
Well, I don't have time for everybody every week. And as I
Okay.
scale, that becomes the difficulty. But as you build a business, I am still the most important individual in my company. I'm the single most important person, drives the most value to my business. But collectively, my team destroys me on combined value output. I can't produce 4 videos a day myself across all the channels on top of doing everything else. Like, there's just no way. So the more I can scale up my team, the more they can scale up the value that they're bringing to my business. But also, I just love, I want the people around me to get better. I want them to grow. If you're in my circle, I need you to be doing bigger things. So Monday, I dedicate the whole day to mentoring the people on my team. Some people I meet every week, some people I meet every month, and some people I meet once a quarter. Really just depends on proximity to me in terms of the projects we're working on and how important your role is to the business. So, um, I feel bad about the people who are meeting only once a quarter. And it's a constant balance, like how much, maybe I should be meeting somebody instead of doing this with you, right? I mean, that's the balance.
Thursdays is your public facing date, so you're sticking on your schedule, man.
Right?
Thursdays is your public facing date.
Exactly.
We got you. And I'll congratulate you on that. Encourage you to keep doing it because I believe that you're building your mentoring muscle, so that whether you see someone weekly or monthly or quarterly, they're getting the best version of Evan, which is probably the most important part. Um, you mentioned, and I love your 254 series that you've really grown that. Congratulations on that. And for those of us that didn't know, I had to dig it up. It takes between 18 and 254 days to create a habit. And you've got a few of them that are out there. The 254 Confidence series is terrific. So
Okay.
I've signed up for that, and every day I get an email with another video on there that is just a little bit of, nitrous oxide to my fiery engine every morning. So congrats on that. Is there one that that you like better than the other one? You have a few of them: Girl Boss, Self Love, Writer Wisdom, Motivation. Is there one that's kind of like your favorite child?
I mean, the confidence one was the first one. So that was our test. That then was, is it going to work? Will people like it? The idea is for 250, it's an email sign up. It's a free thing that we do that for 254 days, we send you a daily video at, I think it's 5 a.m. Eastern, with a short clip, like 30 seconds to 3 or 4 minutes max every morning. And it's just a little injection. You can't get them all at once. You gotta take it every single day and watching people shift. When I pitched it to my team, it's a lot of work. Like, we got to make 254 videos. We got to source it and then cut it and then put them into an email system. And it's a ton of work. And I said, we're going to build it for confidence. And it might be the biggest waste of time, or it could be the greatest thing ever. And so luckily people responded well to it. And it's more like seeing the stories of people coming in and seeing that their confidence has shifted, which then we went out and created a whole bunch more. And I want to have 1,000 of them. It's just, each one is it's a very labor intensive process to
Yeah.
create.
Well, I can tell you as a member of the tribe of them, keep it up, man. It's really good stuff, and especially the early morning stuff. So there's a little bit of a dichotomy, and I see a little bit in a lot of people's work that's out there. And here it is. You mentioned, in fact, even Quincy Jones, basically saying that your opinion doesn't really matter. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to keep going. But then you also ask, tell me why I suck. So a little bit of a dichotomy. Does it matter? I mean, I know you're looking to learn, but you can become distracted if you're getting too much input on why you suck. Can you help me understand where the call it the happy medium is there?
It's the difference between understanding that you suck at a skill, but you don't suck as a person. Most of the time when you give critical, or when you get critical feedback, and maybe not you, but in general, when we receive critical feedback, we think, oh my gosh, I suck. So my first podcast, you almost vomited just talking to your friend. A lot of people say, I suck at podcasts. No, you don't suck as like a human. You just don't have that skill yet. And so I love feedback where I can learn from. If somebody's just saying, hey, Evan, I hate you. Okay, great. Well, why? What happened? Um, but when there's somebody who I think I could learn from, and I know we're hitting the clock, but when it's somebody who I know that I can learn from, I'll always lead with, tell me why I suck at this thing, because it gives them permission to be honest. Because most people will hedge. They'll hedge their opinion. They're thinking 3 or 4 things, but they'll give you like the light sugar coated version of it because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But what you want is the truth, because otherwise you don't get better. So if you say, tell me why I suck, it gives them permission to be honest. And so then they'll say, well, you don't suck, but you know what? Like, if you did these 3 things, you'll get a lot better. And that's what you're after if you really want to improve. So I love leading with, tell me why I suck.
Yeah, and I think that because it's such a vulgar phrase, that it puts people's guards down and it allows them to really know that you're a human being and you're not being too corporate with them. Hey,
Yeah.
last question, and I know that you like to really model successful people, and that's a big component of your work. So I tell everybody to check out your YouTube channel and look at your tips on modeling others for success. But we want to know about your new book, Built to Serve. We want to know how to get it. I bought a bunch of them so that we could do this today, and I really am behind the whole Believe movement. Can you tell us about the book a little bit, and maybe how we can tap into your next resource?
Yeah. So Built to Serve, the thesis is everybody, I think humans are good. People are good. If we weren't good, we'd all be dead by now. And that humans are built to serve. So if you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. So serving others and helping impacts the same part of your brain as having food and having sex. You want to serve. Some people are built to serve the world. You and I want to serve the world. We want to have a big footprint. We want to help a lot of people. That's why you have your show. Some people don't have a big mission, but they just want to help the closest people to them, their closest 25, friends and family. But either way, you're built to serve. If you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. You haven't helped somebody. But then how do you do it? How do you go about it? That's what we get into in the book. And then how do you turn it into a business?
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Evan, I want to say personally thank you for your work. I've enjoyed it and continue to enjoy it. In fact, you inspired me 2 a.m. last night because I couldn't get off of the videos. It was like, I was just saturated with value. So appreciate that very much. As we say on the Awesome Wholesaler Experience podcast, it's about the journey, and we wish you well on yours. Thanks again for being on the show, and talk again soon.
Thanks, Mike. You're awesome.
And a huge thank you to everyone for tuning in today. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor. And if you like this show, hit that little notifications bell so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. Thanks again for supporting the show. Thanks for tuning in today. And of course, thanks for being awesome.